Hello, everybody.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
It's morning for us, so we say good morning to you.
Yep. Whether
But
you
just
listen to
so-
it good morning or not.
Yeah, you're welcome to listen to it any time of day. There's no rules
There are no rules.
regarding listening time.
Right, that's true. There are plenty of rules. I went full construction worker mode this morning. Instead of going with my usual fried eggs and coffee before I get here, I stopped at the gas station and I got an energy drink, some Zen, and Whataburger.
Oh, wow.
Full blue collar boy.
Yeah, no
I'm
kidding.
buzzing right now. I get it. I get why they're like this. I feel like I could build a house. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, the power of 200 milligrams of caffeine. This is not half calf, by the way.
Oh, okay, so we get to see you all jazzed
Yeah,
up
I'm
today.
fully caffeinated right now.
Interesting.
Yeah, this impact is really. Maybe it does have to go on the top lip. I heard you're saying on the top lip.
Is it hurting up there?
It's just moving around a lot in my bottom lip. I can't talk. There we go. That's much better. It feels much more packed in up there. All right, dude. It's been a minute. Hello, everybody. For you guys, it was only a week that you missed us. For Jason and I, it's been 2 because we had a pre-recorded episode that we could throw in there. It's my bad. I'll take responsibility for this one. I got sick, and then I also scheduled hanging out with one of my boys coming into town. Scheduled that over a recording period, so Mobby. And then I couldn't really get us
steamrolled
together.
right over it.
Yeah, I steamrolled right over it. Just made plans right over it. What's going on, dude? How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
I was sick earlier this week.
Okay.
Not terribly sick. Not like my wife was sick the week before and was
Yeah.
in bed for 2 full days.
Yeah.
I got the light version and was able to do my taxes on the day that I was sick.
Nice. Nice.
Not often you get to like earn money back when you're
Not
sick
often. Not off.
off of work.
Nice.
Felt bad I missed actual work. I was like the one day my boss needed me. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling good.
Not physically.
I'm not going to be able to do physical work tomorrow. I might throw up on it.
That hit us all, dude.
Everybody got that.
Everybody got that. It was just like 2 days.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
My poor oldest daughter got sick like in church on Sunday.
Oh, no. Yeah, it ran through our house. It got me. It got Emily first, then it got Abigail, then it got me. It was crazy. It was wild. It spreads quick.
Yep, it was nasty.
Yeah. I was telling my boy that it's very funny to have like this community that we have here today now, like the church community, because it's just like you just watch families go down like dominoes. Whenever somebody gets sick, it's just like, oh, this family.
So-
I almost started saying. Last
I know you're like
names.
saying last names.
Caught myself there. It's like, oh, family number 1's sick.
Good recovery.
Yeah, I wonder how quickly it is till family number 2 gets sick. Yeah, it's funny, dude. It's funny to watch that happen. It is wild, but don't let that deter you from building a church community.
No, yeah.
I just finished.
Your immunity will be better in the long run.
Yes, yeah. I just finished the Benedict option.
You did? Okay.
I did, yeah. Dude, that's the one I'm voting for. That's the one I'm voting for.
You like that one?
Oh, that book's great.
I read it for like 2 hours last night.
Yeah, that book's like the one. I think that book is exactly what we're looking for.
Cool.
And it's much more like,
Broad scope,
yeah, it's much more
life applicable.
Yeah, applicable to everybody. It's way less like. I feel like the other book. I won't mention it because I'm speaking negatively about it, and it's written by a guy I have a lot of respect for. So I'm not going to say the title of the book. But I feel like the other one's a little too.
We were talking about this the other day. Narrow. You felt that it was narrow.
Yeah, narrow, but I feel like the other one is also just a little too disparaging. Like it's like he's like mocking people a little too much, and so it makes it feel like less serious of a like academic piece. You know what I mean? Like he's less removed, less sort of taking things as they are, and more like it seems like he's like emotionally invested in it, and so it makes it feel less.
Oh, like he's more frustrated.
Yeah, or something like that.
Vexed.
Yeah. Which is totally reasonable. Like it is not out of line that he feels that way about it. So but yeah, anyways, so the Benedict option great. I think a great book. I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Author is
Rod Dreher.
Yep, Rod Dreher. It sounds like
not a Protestant.
No, it sounds like he was a non-believer who was converted to Catholicism and then later converted to Eastern Orthodoxy.
I think that's
what I gathered from reading between. He kind of references it.
Yeah, throughout the entire book, he like keeps saying things that make it seem.
He never explicitly goes over his.
Yeah, he never gives a timeline, but he is like, I was converted. I was
in my Catholic days. Blah blah blah.
Days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he talks about how he goes to an Orthodox church now.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
I have a friend who was Reformed Protestant and then
converted to Orthodoxy.
Yeah.
Apparently,
it's a thing. There's a trend.
Yeah, I mean, I get
guess.
it. I get it. Have you ever been to an Orthodox church before?
No, but after reading the, no, I haven't. Well, I may have been to like a Greek Orthodox when I was in Macedonia. I think I walked into one, like one of those dome churches.
Yeah.
Very briefly, or just like walked in the door and like glanced around. I have not been to a service.
Okay, they're really, really beautiful.
A worship.
They're very beautiful. Their liturgies are really beautiful. The churches are very beautiful. It's just, there's obvious doctrinal differences.
Yes,
but they have an interesting. So I spent a long time because I was like very heavily considering before I sussed all this out and decided which way to take our family.
Yeah.
When I was still very much in my infancy as far as my faith went.
Yeah.
I spent some time speaking with a couple Orthodox priests that were at a church by our house in Austin. And I think that Protestants do have a misunderstanding because I've talked to several like men that I would consider incredibly knowledgeable that are Protestant, Reformed Protestants, who would say that Orthodox Christians still they still suffer from the same thing that Catholics do, in that they the works based faith kind of sort of you need to be part of your faith is, or part of your salvation is somehow tied to your behavior. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think a lot of Protestants have that view of the Orthodox Church. Okay, but the way they say it, and I've even talked to our pastor about this, and he said that they'll say it this way, but what they really mean is this. But I don't know for sure. But
they're confusing to talk to.
They can be confusing to talk to, but
my Orthodox friend explained it that he goes, it's difficult to talk about it because the mindset is different.
Yeah.
So you ask them the question with a Reformed or Protestant background and thought behind what you're saying, and their answer will seem to lead you down a very heretical path.
Right. So, yeah.
So it's very hard to have a conversation with one without a lot of clarifying of terms.
Yeah.
And explanation of... They have a lot of theological terms I haven't heard of.
Yes,
just
they do.
Even a different name for Easter. They call it Pascha.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even down to the names of the different... I don't know what they call Christmas.
I don't know either. Yeah. Probably Christmas.
Maybe. I hope so.
Yeah.
Something in common with the Orthodox.
We got one.
We got one thing.
Yeah, but it's cool. I mean, I get it. I get why people are attracted to it. I get why Protestants are attracted to it, because it can, like, talking to an Orthodox priest, you can be like, okay, so you guys don't think that your behavior affects your salvation, and they'll go, no. The priest at least did to me that. Like, we had this long conversation, and it was like all these weird words and a lot of clarifying questions.
What do you mean by this?
Yeah, and then finally at the end of it, I go, okay. So you guys don't think, you guys are not Catholic in your predisposition or like your assumption that your works have anything to do with your salvation. And he was just like, no, we do not. And I was like, okay. I mean, that seems.
Why didn't you just say that in the first place?
Yeah, and because of mysticism and whatever, like all the secrets, because they have that whole thing that they're like.
They have a lot less answers for things.
Well, yeah,
than
they
the
have a lot of
Protestants.
Answers, because they have a real leaning. And again, I'm speaking for Orthodox people. I'm not an Orthodox.
Yeah, to clarify, neither of us are. Both of us have spoken with them.
Yeah, so if you're in your car right now screaming at your radio that we don't know what we're talking about, guess what? You're right. So bear with us there.
Go do your own research.
Yeah. I totally lost my train of thought. What were we just saying?
About the Orthodox? About not having as many answers necessarily, well articulated for the public anyway, explaining.
Yeah, because they put a lot of it as like this. These are mysteries that we as humans are just not equipped to understand, and asking about them.
That's what my friend has said too. Something very similar to that.
Yeah, we just ought not even ask about these things. Like, we just accept them on their face. So,
and as a Reformed Protestant, you're like, well,
yeah,
yeah, but we can
dig a little
try.
Bit. Yeah. It's probably a good idea to try at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
God didn't outright say it was a mystery in the Bible, so
yeah, exactly.
He didn't say we couldn't think about it.
Yeah. Oh, they do not like the three solas. The sola. Well, I guess they do like one of them, but they don't like the sola scriptura. They do not like. They think the church fathers have some.
Okay, yeah, that's the big difference is that I think that's the biggest difference is they draw a lot of things that they do, not directly from the Bible, but from church tradition, as I understand it.
Right.
Because they believe they have an unbroken apostolic
succession.
Succession. Well, maybe I'm misspeaking there, but the tradition is unbroken.
Okay.
Because they have not changed anything. My friend has said that they have not changed anything the way they've done it since the days of the apostles.
Yeah.
So therefore, all the fasting, all the everything that they do, all the asceticism is no music in their services. All of that is directly passed down from the first church fathers, the apostles who set up the church, the early church.
Right.
So that's how they get that, even though you can't find any of that stuff about fasting or whatever in the Bible. And the Protestants, when they separated from the Catholics, just kind of went directly to Scripture and be like, if we can't find it in here, we're not going to force people to do it.
Yeah. So
I would really, what I need to do, or what I would like to hear done by two experts, is dig into the history.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have R.C. Sproul or Vodi Bakum or somebody. Well, maybe even better, Robert Godfrey, a historian, like a theological historian, dig into it alongside of an Orthodox historian, and they compare notes.
Yeah.
And so you can find where the disagreements actually are, because that's really difficult to find.
Right.
Because when our friends went Orthodox, we started digging and doing some research to be like, how different is this? Yeah. And do we need to be concerned about letting our kids hang out with their kids? And that's what I think I even told him, I was like, I just don't know that much about it. And, so.
Yeah. I think...
I want to know.
Yeah. My understanding, or at least my interpretation, is that Orthodox Christians and Protestant Christians have much more in common than either of those two and Catholics.
Really?
That's my understanding. That's because
there's a lot of asceticism between. Well, visibly, the Catholics and Orthodox look way more similar.
Right.
Than us.
I think on the surface, like the surface trappings of those, like the liturgies are obviously which is not a surface trapping, obviously, but it's very important.
But it's what you first see or observe. Right. If you went to a service, you're like, these are more similar than the rock band at the Baptist church.
Yeah.
Which debatably is. Let's categorize that as evangelical versus Reformed Protestant.
Certainly.
We're going to separate those two because that's so different now as to be a different Christian sect.
Yeah.
I don't like being put in that category.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't either.
There's no...
my buddy that came this week, or last weekend, is like very non-denom modern.
Why didn't you bring him to church?
Oh, because they left. They left on Sunday.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. We were talking about...
Gotcha. I was like, oh, he's not here.
Yeah,
but then again, I had to leave a third of the way through the service with my vomiting daughter, so I was like, I wouldn't have been able to talk anyway. Nice to meet you. Splatter.
Yeah. No,
He's like, I wish I hadn't come.
This is disgusting. Presbyterians are disgusting.
Bring their sick kids to church.
Dude, he has such a funny gag reflex that if you go in front of him, he'll throw up.
Oh no, that would have been terrible.
Yeah, that would have been really funny.
Oh, the poor guy. I feel like I'm blowing out the mic all the time now that I'm sitting down here.
I'll turn it down. The last time, our last recording, I was blowing out the mic, and I tried. I was like, I ran it through like several layers of normalization.
Still wasn't
mess with the
helping.
gain on the editing, like in post, and it's still just like it's so bad. But I just was like, it's all right, it's redeemable.
That's the way it's gonna go.
Yeah, I did my interview with Chris, and I haven't edited it yet. But there are several. First of all, like a amateur, like a moron, I left my phone here, sitting on the weight plate, and so it's sitting right next to the wire.
Oh,
so
no.
probably we talked for almost 2 hours. So probably for the entire 2 hours. No, that should be fine. It should be fine.
Just not next to the wire, huh?
Yeah, not next to the wire. So probably throughout the entire interview, it's and then also I had a big. Chris and I were, it's Chris and I, so we're obviously drinking imperial stouts, and I have this big glass full of stout, and several times throughout the interview, I switch it in my hands fast and go ding up against the bottom of the mic. So it's I don't even know if it's usable. I haven't worked up the guts to look at it yet.
Oh no.
Yeah. But so they left on Sunday. It was pretty funny. His wife has a battery of health problems every once in a while. And it kind of sucks. And she was doing fine on all day Saturday, but then she woke up Sunday morning and came out, and we were like, "What happened to you, dude?" She was like watery eyed, just allergies out the wazoo. She was like, "I have to go home."
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So we lost him on Sunday, but we had a good time.
I was about to chastise you. I was like, "You have a friend over, so you're just gonna skip church to hang out longer?"
No, absolutely not. No. No. We the plan was to come to church, but then they were going to leave, so we saw them off.
You have to have them up again.
Yeah, they'll come back. They'll come back for sure. They're newlyweds and they need married friends. So
that's right. You're telling me.
Yeah, they'll be back.
Good.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was fun to have them, show them around town. Tyler's grown a lot since they were last here, so it was cool. Oh, one point of clarification I did want to make, because we did make this joke last. I don't remember which episode it was. I mean, it was the most previously uploaded episode about. We were talking about how many beer cans are in my office, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you drink beer." And one point that I wanted to clarify was that I'm not getting hammered all the time on beer. I want to make sure that you guys know that Jason and I do not condone drunkenness. It's just that I can drink an absurd amount of beer without really altering my state of being.
Yeah,
and that's
no, it is
we
crazy. They just go down like water, it seems.
Yeah, that's the joke we were making. I just want to make that very clear that Jason and I do not, although we are Presbyterian and we do enjoy.
That's something else
I do enjoy some beer.
That is something else we have in common with the Orthodox.
Yep. Yeah.
Boy, do they like to drink.
Boy, do they like to drink. Yeah. And so do we. But we keep it under control. It does not compromise our like general sense of sobriety. So just wanted to make that point. When I was listening back, I was like, maybe we should make note of that. We should circle back around.
Another thing I would like to clarify is we had my wife and I listened to a couple of episodes.
Okay.
And the one about Mexicans.
Okay. Yeah.
She was like,
You should probably
I was like, that maybe is.
Circle back on it. What do you want to clarify?
Circle back on that. I didn't prepare this.
That's fine. Off the rip.
I guess maybe something we should talk about is, now I'm trying to remember exactly what the episode was. We were talking about, this was when we were commenting on the Epoch Times article, talking about multiculturalism and multi-ethnic societies, the benefits of them.
Yeah.
And I think you had made the statement that while one ethnicity is not superior to another in a country, it works best if one is dominant in numbers and tradition.
Right.
I think, is that correct?
Right. One has to be, I'm going to use the term in charge, but I don't mean give me the best give me the benefit of the doubt, listener, when you hear me use the word in charge. Like, interpret that in the greatest light possible. when I use the term in charge. What I mean by that is one ethnic group their traditions need to be setting the rules so that everybody there knows the rules to play by. That's if you have a bunch of different cultures all vying to make the rules, then you get what we have today, which is a lot of chaos because people...
Which is only a problem if you have a new country starting out. I should say all countries already have that. Right? Every country in the world already has a dominant culture and a large majority of one ethnic group.
Right.
And that's just the way that country is, because before globalization, everybody for the most part, stayed where they were at.
Right.
And so everybody looks a lot like each other, and everyone's traditions are closely tied to each other, and that's what actually makes a community.
Right.
And that's what the Benedict option is talking about too, making communities. So it's a really good thing to have a community like that. So it doesn't matter. We're not throwing shade at any one ethnic community. It was a general statement about any country in the world being destabilized if there's two different ethnicities with different cultural values that are opposing each other, trying to vie for control of the society. It's going to rend the society in half. Just like Republicans and Democrats being too far divided and not having enough in common, it's tearing the country in half. There's red and blue states, or there's red and blue areas that seemingly can't get along.
Certainly.
So that's a non-race example. So it's not an ethnicity, but it is a belief, and it's a community. If you're a Republican or a conservative, and if you're a liberal or a Democrat, then you can generally find far more in common with somebody of your same political leanings than you can of somebody on the opposite side of the aisle.
Certainly.
And so that's the distinction, I believe, that we were trying to make.
Yes.
Not that it's we got into joking a bit, which was maybe not a good idea, about us becoming a minority in Texas.
Yes.
And that Mexicans are taking over.
Yes.
It's not a good thing for any country to be overrun with illegal immigration.
Yeah, and it's also...
If you can't police a people and keep track of them, and if they're not responsible for... I saw a headline about billions of dollars because of at hospitals just being... hospital bills being unpaid.
Yeah.
So how can you possibly have a medical system that works if there's just billions and billions of dollars being thrown out the window because they have no way of collecting on people who came in, took advantage of a system that they don't have a right to take advantage of, and then walk out?
Right.
If that happened to a restaurant, let's say you're running a family restaurant and even 30% of your clientele comes in, eats and dashes, dines and dashes, you're going to go under really quick.
Right.
You cannot sustain that.
Right.
And then you have to have a government bailout and print more money to just keep the hospital system afloat because they're too big to fail.
Right.
And then we have more inflation. So this is a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a very big problem.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against people who are fleeing. I shouldn't say it's nothing. I should say in the same situation, if I was in a terrible third world country, I would probably also do whatever I could to get out of it.
Right. Certainly.
And go to a richer country and make money and send it back to my family. I think that in a lot of ways is an admirable thing for at least the old school immigrant who's coming over and just working and trying to send money back because they need to feed their starving family and they're risking their lives to do so.
Yeah.
Risking imprisonment, deportation. I have a lot of respect for that in a way.
Sure.
But at the same time, if I was doing that and I got caught and sent back, I don't think I'd have a right to complain.
Yeah,
you're like, fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You got me.
You got me.
I'll be back.
Yeah. And I mean, I think
family's still hungry.
Yeah, family's still hungry. I got to do.
Cartels are still in control over here.
I got to do something. Yeah. And I think the things that something that we could do that maybe help clarify the situation is put like a hypothetical reverse. So like Mexicans deserve to have Mexico be Mexican. They did just like Americans deserve to have America be American.
Mm-hmm.
And if putting a goat on a rotisserie in your front yard is a thing that Mexicans want to do, they ought to be able to do that in Mexico. They ought not have white people coming down there telling them this is disgusting and inhumane or whatever. You can't be doing this. You have to move this into a clean kitchen in a restaurant or whatever. Like that would be wrong. The reverse of the situation would also be wrong. And to your point, like it is like these people have to do something. What are they going to do? They can't just sit and just die or starve to death or be killed by marauding cartel members. So they certainly have to do something.
I certainly hope there's some sort of resistance movement or...
I think in a couple of years ago, it was like one of the very first times that some cartel members showed up to extort these villagers, and the villagers killed all the cartel. They just rounded them up and killed them all.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for them.
If that happened to be more widespread, that would...
I think that there's
probably too much backing from... Who knows? I don't know.
Who
CIA,
knows? Yeah. Who knows? There's
for the cartels to really be deterred by a couple villages.
A couple intelligence agencies probably mixed up in that.
So to be fair,
yeah,
the U.S. is or has messed with our neighbors and lots of people.
That certainly doesn't give them the right to come here and not learn to speak English after they've lived here for 13 years. But like the thought that I was having was that it is not the chance that we might have to flee, or I was thinking hypothetically in my head about having to flee the U.S. Like at this point, that's not a 0% chance that that's going to happen. Like that might need to occur. And in the case that it does, like where would I take my family? And El Salvador is looking like a very viable option for something like that at this point. But the thought that I had was, if you're going to do that morally, if you are going to flee your country and go to another country, like it sucks to think this, but once you get there, you need to teach your kids how to speak Spanish and raise them as Salvadorians.
They're now Salvadorians.
They are not Americans anymore. You
are leaving behind your mother country.
Yeah, you were leaving. So when immigrants come here, they ought to have to let go of. You're coming here to be American, so be American. And in that same way, like if at some point it comes down to it and we have to flee, like to go to Argentina or to go to El Salvador, like I will have to be morally present in that country. I will have to raise my kids as citizens of that country, teach them the language, and have them adopt the culture of that country. Learn the history. You're Salvadorian now.
Be involved in politics.
Yeah, get involved. Try to positively affect your community and affect it in ways that make it that positively affect the people around you in their way, not by their definition of positive, not by your definition of positive.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, so don't show up and start trying to go, I think it should be this way because this is how it was back in our place. Like, right. Who cares?
It worked really well.
Yeah, it worked really well. Oh, it worked so well.
That's why I had to flee.
That's why I had to flee. Yeah. Yeah, so, it works both ways, and I think people can get, can start to get itchy.
We're not saying become Catholic, though.
Right. We're not saying become Catholic. Right.
Nominally Catholic.
Yeah. Don't become nominally Catholic. You can stay, Christian.
You must stay.
Yeah. You must
faithful to God.
Yeah. You must stay faithful
to God. That supersedes any cultural and country
right. But the thing about Christianity is that it's a universal religion. Like it can be universally applied to any culture. I don't mean that everybody's like universally a Christian. I just mean that it doesn't there are aspects of pretty much every culture that can fit just fine into Christianity. So you don't have to try to show up and like make Japan white. Like you can just show up and you can show up, learn Japanese, be Japanese, and stay Protestant Christian. Those things are not.
That would actually be really good.
Yeah.
Japan really, really needs God.
Yeah. Well, dude, they're getting hit right now. They're ratcheting up the like diversity and equity stuff in Japan. They're going ham in Japan right now.
Are they?
Yeah. Japan might.
I just know their suicide rate is incredibly high, isn't it?
Yeah,
their atheism levels are. I mean the percentage of atheists there, I believe, it's really, really high.
Yeah. Yeah, Tokyo's clean.
Literally a godless country.
Yeah,
very
Tokyo's
sad,
like a
dark
clean
place.
Yeah, a very dark place. It's a clean. There are parts of Tokyo that are like clean and nice to look at, but and obviously much of the Japanese countryside is the same. It's not hard to make countryside look nice though. So, but yeah, for the most part,
You kind of have to bomb it.
which turns out
We've
nobody
done.
better than us. Boy, do the whites know how to bomb.
We did not bomb the countryside.
We did not bomb the countryside. We did glass
Whoa,
two of their cities.
Don't. No, come on.
We did glass two of their cities. Yeah. They did have it coming. They had it coming.
That was the whole. Well, that was. They weren't godless at that point. They just thought their emperor was a god.
Oh, dude, they were wiling out.
And that's how you get 2 cities bombed out of existence.
That's how you get glassed. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, to make the ultimate point of clarification, we were not being. I guess we were being a little racist.
Clear, not everybody in those cities. Just to be clear, this was not Sodom and Gomorrah. It was like, oh yes, every single one except Lot deserved to die in that city. That's not what we're saying about Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Right.
That was a very tragic event, and that was calculated to hopefully save lives in the long run. Or at least that's the official American narrative.
I think it did. I mean, the Japanese were.
They were fighting to the last man.
Well, they were
on every island,
massacring people in the Pacific. Like their death toll of like people they genocided is crazy.
They did horrible things. Yeah, the Japanese got away with a lot of war crimes that the Germans did not.
Did not.
A lot of that got glossed over.
I wonder why. I wonder if there's any particular people group that were persecuted by the Germans who hold vendettas and are quite manipulative that may have targeted the Germans after the war to go after. I wonder if there's any particular group. I can save that conversation.
I don't know, is Germany arguably doing better now than Japan is?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think everybody's in pretty bad way right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
We're talking morally.
Just in general, yeah. Socially, morally, yeah. I think the world.
Boy, the German beer is better.
That is true. Well, I don't even know if that's true. Japanese beer is so good.
Is it?
Oh my!
Okay, I'm sorry. Japanese beer. I haven't had enough of you. I've only had maybe one in a. I so little example of it.
Yeah.
So to be fair, it would be very interesting to me to go and try a whole bunch of good, genuine Japanese beer, but I think that would probably be very difficult to do not in Japan, to be fair.
That's probably true.
Also difficult to get really good German beers that are fresh over here, because you can't. It has to be the sterilized, shipped stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't quite get the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If you can't get it on tap, it's just not the same.
It's not the same. It is not. That's very true. Yeah, so
don't worry. When we start our pub, we will have...
Tap only, baby.
Tap only live.
There will be no...
Not tap only. I don't want to be that... There needs to be some...
There at least all right, I'll say that, but there at least can't be cans.
No cans? Okay.
No cans. We can do glass, but we can't do cans. Because the liner you have to put in the can to make sure that the, like...
It doesn't affect the...
the alcohol. That liner is, like, horrific.
Oh,
like
is it?
Like in this can, there's, like, a plastic liner inside of it that is...
not good for you?
Truly terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, gender bending, cancer giving, Fallout 4 level, Fallout 3.
Love it.
Yeah, give you an extra arm type chemical exposure. Nastiness. Not good. Not good. So yeah, that's the point that the point we're ultimately trying to make is that we were not being...
It wouldn't be an episode if we didn't say it.
It wouldn't be an episode. We are not we're not being seriously racist. There was a point where we were joking. And I was jokingly being racist because I think here's what I say all the time. It's funny to pretend to be racist. It is not funny to be actually racist. Not being actually racist, not good. Shouldn't do it. Pretending to be racist, one of the funniest things you can do. So I'll say that. But it was just a joke. And I think we've clarified our point there.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with that.
Okay, good.
Emily, is that better?
Am I going to get in trouble?
No, listening back over it, I was like, ooh, that was a little cringy. I don't know if that was clarified well enough.
Okay, maybe you'll feel better about this, listening back to this one. But that does tie into the topic I wanted to talk about today was...
You've got 30 minutes.
Not anymore. I'm spitting it out now. It's lost its effect. I don't think you can enjoy this for 1 hour.
Really?
I don't know. I don't feel it anymore, so We're gonna call it.
Got your buzz and you're done. Huh?
Yeah, I caught my buzz. Now I'm good to go.
I've got some very interesting notes off of this.
Oh, yeah?
The Italia by CAO.
CAO.
They have the World Series. They have 5 different country-based cigars.
Oh.
CAO does. Another one that I like is the Brasilia, which is really dark Maduro.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, they have like the American, Italia, Brasilia, and 2 others.
Interesting. And 2 others. And 2 others.
I forgot.
Are they tobaccos that are grown in those countries, or are they just branded as?
If
those
not
countries?
grown in those countries, at least inspired by or traditionally grown in.
Okay.
But I think they do actually get them from.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay.
I believe I watched a video on it recently, and it was, yes, the Italia does have like Italian tobacco in it.
Okay.
So
That's
very,
cool.
very interesting, very cool. And this is different than, it's good.
Tell me about it. What are the flavors?
I don't know, dude. I don't know what I'm talking about that way.
You just know it's good?
I was like, oh, this is different than I've tried before. My wife will laugh if she listens to this. I'm not a cigar connoisseur.
Okay.
That's what I always said.
Yeah.
I've always said I'm not a connoisseur of this or that.
Right, certainly.
Like I enjoy things, but I don't. I'm
I
not all.
dabble. Yeah.
I don't know how to describe wines, and
Certainly.
I can enjoy some wine.
Right.
I can enjoy tobacco, but as far as tasting notes, I've never gone to the trouble of learning which tastes are which and trying to identify them.
Yeah. I can identify like earthy versus like spicy versus like chocolatey and stuff sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is on the light. This is a medium size. So this is, I don't know if it's a Dominican wrapper. I don't know if I would say it's spicy, but
It's got something to it. It's got some flavor in there.
it's got something to it. There's flavors there,
Good. Flavors.
but they're
are
not dark. They're not the earthy coffee
good. Yeah.
kind of one. So
Yeah.
more of a medium roast, maybe.
Okay.
If it is coffee.
Nice medium roast. I like myself a nice medium
I didn't
roast.
want the darkest one starting out today. I was like, if we do a double header episode today, I will have a Maduro during that one, kind of leading into it. But sometimes starting off with a dark one is like
That's heavy.
just
dude.
getting punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
A little too early in the morning.
Yeah. You got to keep it light in the morning.
Speaking of getting punched in the mouth, though, I was cutting something, a little piece of wood that I did not hold tightly enough, and the saw caught it, and it flung. It was like a little 2x2 inch block of wood that I was trying to trim an edge off of foolishly. I don't know if there's a really great way to do that.
Yeah.
But I was doing anyway. I cut down too quickly, and it snagged the wood, threw it, and it hit the ricocheted off my water heater, made a small indent in the water heater,
Excellent.
and then hit me in the top lip and like almost knocked me over. And I kind of went backwards and I flung my saw back the other direction. I wish I could have seen it on film because it would have been good. But yeah, it was like getting punched in the mouth. And you were right; it doesn't really hurt.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
You're just like, whoa, that was surprising.
Yeah.
And I was like, the rest of the day, I was like, that was a little sore, but I didn't really get a fat lip or anything. It hit on the top above the lip, so I was fortunate.
Yeah.
And I was wearing eye protection,
Good.
so at least it didn't hit me in the eye.
Safety first, baby.
Safety first.
Safety first.
Boom.
Baby. Yeah.
That's why. That's why.
Yeah, dude. Have you seen any of those videos of the guys using like angle grinders or something? Like, and
I
it's like,
don't watch stuff like that. I don't want to see it.
it's like it's like a TikTok, some sort of short form video, and it's just like the video starts and it's like their angle grinder and the blade is broken, and they flip the camera around and the blade's embedded like in their hard hat, and they're like, "This is why you wear a hard hat." like this would have been in my skull if I didn't. Those videos are wild.
No, my cousin is in construction. He said they always showed a video of one guy who put too big a disc on his angle grinder, and then it killed him.
Dang.
It flung off, just embedded in his head and killed him. And he's like, never ever do without your protective equipment, and never.
Yeah.
That's
one thing we got over the Chinese, baby.
God has been gracious to me. I've not killed myself building this house yet, but sometimes I worry.
Dude, there's this.
I'll be here as long as God wants me to
Right.
be. I guess we'll put it that way.
If I have to take an angle grinder to the skull, I accept it.
Yeah, I'm not wearing a hard hat.
The that tree I was telling you about, that little tree that I cut down. Dude, you guys would have thought it was so funny watching me do that. I couldn't keep the chain on the chainsaw for more than 28 seconds at a time.
Oh, it kept snagging?
It just kept coming off because I couldn't.
You're not tightening it enough?
Yeah, at first I couldn't tighten it enough, and then I didn't tighten it enough, and then I was like, how do you tighten this thing? And I figured out how to tighten it, and then it was like, oh, leave the bolts hand tightened. So I hand tightened them.
I only found that out recently for some reason. I was like, the tightening does not seem to work. I'm doing it right. And it's like, and then I saw my boss doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's why I've never been able to tighten my chainsaw blade.
Yeah.
Correctly. I felt like such an idiot.
Yeah. And then
I was like, I've been using a chainsaw for a few years now. And somehow it's like, well, I just, put it back on and it's tight then.
Yeah. Not the case. No. So I didn't tighten the bolts enough. And there's 2 bolts that hold the actual bar into place on my chainsaw.
Yeah. And those have to be loose in order for you to tighten it, because otherwise it holds the bar in place.
Right.
And for whatever reason.
Yeah. It's never occurred to you. Yeah.
Nope. It never occurred to my dumb brain.
Yeah. And I followed the instruction manual like to the letter, and still a bolt fell off and I don't know where it is. To this day, I don't know where it is. So I had to cut the tree down 1 bolt on my chainsaw. And so it just the chain kept coming off.
Oh my word.
I was furious. It's why I can't. It's not why I can't do stuff like this, but it's why I don't. I don't have the. As soon as something is supposed to work one way and then it doesn't work that way very easily, immediately enraged. I'm so angry. If people don't work the way they should, I get it. I'm like, oh, people are flawed, whatever. We'll just talk our way through this. We'll figure it out. But if like a piece of engineering or like a machine does not work exactly how I think it's supposed to work,
sure,
I'm like, who made this? Who made this?
I demand.
They should be arrested. Like,
no, I can relate to that. Yeah. So maybe there's hope for you.
Okay, good.
I don't know. It drives me insane when a tool or a piece of equipment is designed in such a way that it doesn't seem to work.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, well, maybe it's my fault because I've made enough dumb mistakes now, having done it enough, that I'm like, might not be your fault. But also with the growing experience, you learn what should work a certain way, and you're like, no, this is definitely a piece of junk. And I'm never buying this again. Yeah. I'm going to buy a higher quality one next time.
Yeah.
This is trash.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, with computers, especially since I don't understand enough of them to fix stuff, so when there's errors or whatever, it drives me crazy when it's like error and it doesn't tell you enough about it to actually fix it. That drives me bonkers.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't just tell me there's a problem and not offer a solution, computer. Right. It's like, sorry, can't do it. Yeah. Sorry, can't do it.
I felt that I know exactly what you're talking about. So
that's the kind of thing that makes me want to flip a table over and ram my head against a wall.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah. Why me, dude?
Yeah. So no, I completely relate to that.
Good.
Things that don't work.
Oh my goodness, it gets me so bad.
But less than it did, and that might just be my decreasing testosterone over age. So when you hit your 30s, maybe it'll get better.
Not ever, baby. I'm staying on TRT for the rest of my life. I'm saying that nice.
You probably have to titrate that down at some point to maintain a natural level for your age, I'd guess.
I think it's
otherwise it might make your brain explode.
I think it's healthy
when you're 60 and you're like have a 25-year-old amount of testosterone flowing. You're like, there it is.
There it is. Spiked it. I think it's healthier to maintain your 25-year-old levels of testosterone all throughout your life. I think there's like lots of scientific data on that now. I don't know. That's not something I don't even know.
Like how, the scientific data that shows that God did things wrong in the aging process. Yeah, I get it.
Well, I don't know. Sure. We're in a fallen state. There's all kinds of stuff that we do to.
Sure. Okay, fine. Prop up.
Yeah.
Fights in nature.
You know what's a great case study? We'll just see what happens to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's gassed to the eyeballs on this stuff, dude. TRT,
is he?
HGH. Yeah, he talks about it a lot. Yeah.
I don't really listen
if he has some sort of insane, messed up medical problem that comes from whatever, then I'll be like, all right, let's turn it down a little bit. But if he lives till he's 100.
Does a lot of drugs, doesn't he?
I think he's tapered. He's talked about that a lot, about tapering up. Dude, somebody's coming for him, dude. He had a, so like the narrative arc of his show has been of this like very like drug induced sort of atheistic cringe kind of anti-Christian thing that Joe Rogan's known for. But like last year he had, for the first time ever, he had a very serious creationist scientist on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know which one?
I don't remember his name, but he's one of the intelligent design guys. Like one of the most.
Is he the one that wrote the Signature in the Cell? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know if it's that
Okay.
guy. I mean, he's written a ton of books, obviously, so it very well could have been him.
Okay. I have that book. I haven't read it yet, but I've watched an interview with that guy. It's very interesting. He was on the Babylon Bee. With a serious interview.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Anyway.
Yeah. It might have been him. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, he was offering, hitting Joe with some pretty significant stuff, and Joe was like, "Whoa, he's doing his normal shtick." Like, "Whoa, what? That's crazy." But he also was like, he was very receptive to it, is what I'll say.
Okay.
And then recently on one of his episodes, I usually just catch clips. I very rarely listen like full episodes. Of one of his episodes, he was talking about how we need religion. Joe was. He was like,
Really?
people are finding out that we really need religion. Like we can't just do this secular thing. And then at the end
Turns
of it,
out it's not good for society.
yeah. And at
Tears it apart.
Yeah, it tears it apart. Yeah, at the end of the little rant that he did, he was joking, but kind of only half joking. He was like, "Man, we need Jesus." Yeah. So I wouldn't. This actually ties into what I wanted to the topic I had prepared for today, which is.
Which I interrupted you 10 minutes ago for.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's good. The natural conversation flows better. It's more entertaining this way. Which is that there's everywhere. I just feel like everywhere right now, there's just so much. And we've talked about this before, but I don't think we've really tackled it as a unique topic. But it's really one of the things that I want. I want this show to be about, which is like optimism, but not just in your personal life, but like there's this just incredibly pervasive narrative right now that we're just done, that America's done, that we're just in a state of decline, and and I put parentheses around decline, so I said it like that to the listener. Is it just like there's just this hopelessness everywhere. On the news, online, like everybody you talk to, even like our friends at church, like I feel like some of them are like certain that some sort of cataclysmic social society ending event is just over the horizon, and that we're doomed. And then obviously, like in the church writ large, the evangelical church at least, like, which is most American Christians are non-reformed evangelicals, and the predominant eschatological belief in that church is dispensationalism, which is that that the world is headed towards some sort of apocalyptic ending, where basically everybody dies and the tribulation occurs, and it's horrible, and there's snakes everywhere and gigantic scorpions killing people and literal demons in the air, and it's just like horrific. And that's just, it's so, I mean, I know this is like a very like kind of pop culture word, but it's such a toxic belief system to have. Like there was a time in my infancy as a Christian where that was what I believed, and it was incredibly depressing and very hard to find motivation to do anything. And I had that belief period in the time when I found it most difficult to hold a job, when I was the most like depressed and full of anxiety, when I was the fattest and most unhealthiest, when I was like in the depths of struggling with like actually abusing alcohol and not able to get control over it. And it was a core part of why I was like that, was because I thought, no matter what I do, this is all just going to come to an end. Like it obviously is all going to come to an end, but it's going to come to a brilliant sort of amazing end that very much like God's plan is being enacted through us now. It's not like in the dispensationalist belief, there's like this idea that like all of history is just going to come to this point where God saves us from the destruction we're kind of facilitating now. And so the Christian experience is just to like survive. Like your whole goal is just to not die, kind of, or something like that. But it's very bad. It's very low. The bar is low. You're not. It's just. It's not good. It's not conducive to what we believe, which is that there's something to be built. There's work to be done.
Right.
And that work, for whatever reason, God has ordained that work as part of His plan. And so when He wraps this whole thing up, when history comes to an end, you will have played a part in the grand scheme of things. Like the things you have done, the times you moved your hands to get something done, played its part in the fruition of God's plan. God's plan didn't happen in spite of or despite what you've done. It happened. I know people are going to get like upset if I say this, but it happened because of what you did. Like God uses processes in reality to bring forth His plan. He doesn't just snap His finger and make things happen.
Right. You don't see things appearing
out
of nowhere.
Right. If He wants a church in that area, in a certain area,
God uses people
to physically build the church,
mm-hmm.
and pastors to go there and do the preaching. And so
one might ask, how do I know what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, how do I know what I'm supposed to do? That's a good question. How do you know what you're supposed to do?
Step one is know God's will.
Yeah,
what does God want you to do?
Yeah.
In general is more important than specifically.
Yeah.
Because if you're following the general Christian principles and living your life, God will provide you opportunities to witness and spread His word.
Yeah, and have families and grow the church. And I believe the Holy Spirit will imbue you with specific preferences that will lead you to doing it the way God wants you specifically to go about doing that.
I agree. But yes, the prerequisite to that is
knowing God's will in general.
Knowing God's will, which means reading Scripture.
Right.
Get into His word and get into community with other believers.
Certainly.
Steps 1 and 2.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to attack today is this idea of an impending end in the U.S. because I think I think young people are really
what is the end that you see people? Do you mean just the end of us as a world leader? Yeah,
the end of us as a world leader, the end of us as a country, the end. I think if you were to talk to a young person who's really fully cognizant of this, I don't think that they would be able to say to you, this is the event I think is going to occur that's going to end the country or end the world as we know it or turn America. But I do think that in general, they have this idea that there's this tipping point that we're at, and we're going to and we are inevitably going to tip into being more like the UK, or just like being like the UK, or being like China, and we're going to get social credit scores and it's all over, and there's going to be this authoritarian problem, or modernity. Modernity is by its very nature this sort of soul-crushing, anti-human environment that is just totally hostile to anything remotely good. And so there's just no, the future itself in general is not bright. It cannot be good. And that's what I want to attack on like a practical level, is I want to point towards the immediate future as like something that's the stage is actually set for it to be very bright. The immediate future is actually set to be really, really good. And if you're pessimistic and you're not careful, then you may miss an opportunity to grow your family and grow your community and grow yourself in a very exponential way. And if you've got your eyes in the mud and you're going, oh, we got to make sure we've got. Now, again, I'm not saying it's not a good idea to go buy a bunch of bags of rice and beans to make sure that if the power goes out, you have food. I'm not saying that. But if that's your primary mover in life,
be wise and prepare.
Right, be wise.
If you see signs of something, disruptions in power and disruptions in food sources.
Right.
Obviously.
Look
out for your family.
Right. But I do not think
don't
it is
go
time.
And build a bunker.
Yeah. That's a good one. That was a good one. He says, sitting in his bunker.
In my house.
In his house.
Again, this would not serve as a bunker for I'd be killed so quick in this.
Yeah.
There's no way out.
Yeah, and the actual functional parts of this are not the things that you like about this functionally are not like it's security against bombs or whatever. It's like the energy efficiency of the heating and cooling.
Yes,
and
it's all energy efficiency and longevity for family use. That's what it's about.
Right. So it's about the future. It's about
the future of our family on this property.
Right.
Lord willing.
Certainly.
If the Lord gives me time on this property, generations, I would love for my great grandkids to own this house.
Certainly.
So I'm trying not to make it crappy.
Right.
In all the ways that I can.
Right.
There's some parts of it that are going to be crappy.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's unavoidable.
Just unavoidable.
Yeah.
I am human, and I'm not a professional.
Yeah. There's sometimes where you
think, whoops.
You're thinking of your great grandchildren, and you're about to swing the hammer, and you're going, they're just going to have to deal with it. In
I'm sorry.
30
I'm sorry.
Yeah, 100 years.
This will have to be changed eventually.
You're going to have to deal with it then, though.
I think this is right.
I hope this isn't critical to the infrastructure of the farm. So I just want I want young people in general and people in general to have a sense of hope. And so I wanted to make some practical attacks against this idea that we are on a negative trajectory. And one of the big ones that I want to attack is this idea that China is going to take anything over. That's one of the big ones that I really want to attack because that's a big one for conservatives.
Because they're on the decline.
China. They are as, dude, China and the Jews are like an interchangeable term for at this point, as like conspiratorial. They're gonna kill us. They hate us. They want to take over type. It's crazy.
You're watching too much Man in the High Castle.
Way too much Man in the High Castle.
You seen that show?
I've not seen it, but I know what it is, and I know how it goes. Yeah. So the thing I want, here's a couple. I want to give you guys a couple of stats that'll give you perspective on China. All right, America has, I believe, 11 aircraft carriers. 11 aircraft carriers moving planets, dude. These things are huge. They are mobile military bases. They are insane. Do you know how many China has? China's got the second most. Do you know how many they have?
I'm going to guess 4.
2.
Okay. I almost said 3, but I was like, that's too few. They wouldn't have only 3.
They have 2, and we've never seen one of them go into the open ocean. We don't know that it works. So they effectively have 1. Okay? They've never deployed a functioning military. They say they can. We've never seen them do it. We've never seen them deploy the logistical, we've never seen them use a modern army before in any way that matters. We don't know that they can do it. Secondly, they're all dying. They're all dying. There's no young Chinese people. Turns out when you flex authoritarianism, people just stop having babies, and there's no way around that.
Well, when you force them to abort all but one child.
Right. But even then, if you, and this is a study on these studies, so this science is clear. They've done this on animals. They've done this on humans. If you put humans, if people or animals start to feel caged, they will not reproduce. They just stop reproducing. So you cannot instill a social credit system in a country because the country just dies. That's
why China can't keep their pandas alive. They're like, why won't they breed? Breed!
They're also dumb as hell, dude. Have you ever seen a panda try to operate? Dude, they can't. They fall out of trees and die. It's like their primary thing they do is climb trees. They can't even do that. Dude, pandas are such.
That's because they're inbred by now. They
They
probably didn't do that when they were prominent. Nothing
bothered
bothered them.
They obviously survived for some amount of time outside of human interaction.
5,000-6,000 years.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, the pandas are a fantastic analogy for China in general. It's just inept. It's inept. And I watched this video.
If you can't keep your most iconic animal alive.
Yeah, then what are you going to... Yeah, that's like the one thing you have to do to represent to the rest of the world that you've got it under
Fear
control.
us. Breed.
Yeah. Please don't die. Please don't die. Yeah. Dude,
Maybe we can clone it.
Maybe we can clone it, yeah. It'll come out with
Send it to Wuhan.
Send it to Wuhan, get everybody killed. I watched a video a while back of China put up a train station, like a small train station, in 9 hours or like 11 hours or something absurd.
Is this one of the concrete things that just fall apart because their infrastructure is so bad?
Yes.
Cheap, bad concrete that just crumbles.
Dude, have you seen the videos in China of them? There's like bridges.
Hand digging concrete out of pillars and
Right,
whatnot.
they're just like taking a stick and just like pushing on like a weight-bearing pillar in a skyscraper, and it's just the concrete's just falling out. Or they're like, I'm not joking, bro. I'm not joking. I can send them to you later. There's like several videos of bridges with the weight-bearing beams of the bridge. Part of it has ramen noodles in it. As the like structural foundation of the concrete.
Huh. Steel's expensive over there. Huh?
I don't know what.
I guess we're taking it all in cheap knives.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
Keep buying Chinese-made stuff so they can't build bridges.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the message
Choke
here.
them out. Choke them out. Yeah.
Pay more than their own country will pay for their infrastructure. That's how we defeat China. Keep buying their crap.
Just bleed them dry.
And then give them just worthless dollars in return.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, thank you, Biden, for
actually
inflating the living day.
Yeah,
so Biden's actually a genius.
He's actually a genius.
Saving the country and defeating China. He's like, hey China, yeah, no, we're totally best friends and blah blah blah. But
we're gonna buy all the good stuff you have and leave you with none of the good. Leave you with all the bad stuff. Good luck. Have fun.
Good luck. Thanks.
Yeah. Bye. But also I mean, another great point there is that the market capitalization of China's stock market is not even an eighth of America's. So the Chinese stock market right now is the fastest growing on the planet. But even if it continues this trajectory for the next decade, which it will not even get to like half of what America's market capitalization of its stock market is. Let me be very clear about this. In the economy, all right, this is my thing. I work in finance. This is actually my field of expertise. Okay. There isn't another player on the planet. America is the only place there is to put any money. Everyone brings their money here. People do not invest in Chinese companies, in European companies, in South Asian companies. They do not take their money anywhere else. The world's richest people buy McDonald's franchises in the U.S. That is why that there are car washes every 2 miles in the U.S. is because it is foreign money coming into the U.S. because there's nowhere else to put it. We are so far ahead. We are so far ahead of everyone else that if we had a market capitalization reduction of 50% in this country, we would still be the only, and that would be people starving in the street. That would be death everywhere. That'd be hospitals closed. Like if we saw that amount of economic reduction, which we won't, it's not possible. If we saw that amount of economic reduction, the money would flow in because it would be America. People would still be like, it would be like Bitcoin losing 50% of its market capitalization.
People would buy like mad.
Yeah, they buy like mad.
And it's on sale.
Yeah, it's on sale. And so they get
come
more
back
of it.
up. It always has.
Yeah, it'll come back up. And so it's not to say that America won't ever end or that the second Roman Empire won't come to an end. It's just not going to happen anytime soon. It's not going to happen during our great-grandchildren's lifetime. We are so far ahead that it's just there isn't another player. There isn't another player, and there won't be. Every other country does not have capitalism like we have, and because they don't, they cannot compete. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. You cannot effectively or ethically manage human behavior in the way that every other country does. It is inefficient, and because it is inefficient, it will lose. Period. End of discussion. That's just the way that it is. And there's no way around it. So America is not, we are not going down. We're not going down. I think there's a small chance that
I feel like I need to stand up and put my hand over my heart.
Good. You should. America's a phenomenal country. That's pretty good. That's like almost exactly like a horn. Dude, it is amazing how much, dude. We're not getting close to the end. We're getting started. We are getting started. We are a young republic. We still have the imperial age coming. There's going to be some decline. There's going to be a little decline. There's going to be some guy that's going to have to step up and say, listen, we're not doing it this way. We're going to do it this way. He's going to get too much power. But then we're going to have 1,000 years of globetrotting left. Like, dude, your bones aren't even going to be molecularly present anymore by the time America fails. Like, you're going to be, your corpse is going to be so rotted that it's not like the material that was your corpse is going to have ended up on the other side of the continent by the time from where it was buried, by the time America falls. We are
hopefully grown into delicious tea in China's fields.
yeah.
To be then shipped back here and drunk by.
Yes, absolutely.
The Brits, not us, though.
Yes. And another thing
I should say the Southerners will drink it.
The Southerners will drink it. The Southerners will drink your tea.
They
will drink your corpse tea with way too much sugar. The other thing that's just patently absurd. Do you know what happens to China? Do you know what happens to India? Do you know what happens to every other consumer market on the planet today if the U.S. were to collapse?
They'd go under.
Everything would go under. The world wouldn't have electricity. It would be Armageddon. It is in no one's interest to see America go under. China isn't trying to take over America.
Well, they'd like to control parts of it because they want a piece of the pie.
Certainly. Wouldn't you want to control the biggest gun on the face of the planet? Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. And so they want their piece of the pie, but they can't get it. It doesn't matter. And so it's just absurd. It's just the idea that China is going to usurp us, the idea that America is going to go under to some extent is absurd. It's absurd. We are not at the end of our reign. It just isn't the case. There may be, like I said, there may be some balkanization. We may have to lop off parts of the country and, put all the liberals in California and cut it off and push it in the ocean or something. But it's not. It's not, dude.
Poor California.
Holy smokes! There's 26 or like 32 million miles of navigable rivers on the planet, and 13 million of them are in the U.S.
We have an insane amount of waterways.
Yeah.
It's allowed for fantastic trade.
We discovered an ocean of oil under the U.S. and Canada that's bigger than the ocean of oil in the Emirates.
Right.
We have more oil here.
Yeah.
We have more oil here. We have more precious metals. Listen, the world is it's going to be a bumpy ride for maybe at some point in the next 8 years. I think this sort of madness, the post 9/11 madness that we've experienced is going to come to a climactic end. I don't think there's going to be a world war, but I think there's going to be a financial crisis that is so destructive that it might as well have been a world war. It will not affect us. It will not affect us.
You mean destroy us? It'll affect us.
Sure, maybe it'll affect us in the fact that we won't be able to get mangoes from Honduras or whatever. But if America walls up, if we just bring the Navy back home, dock the ships, get the Army back here, and we just turtle up, we don't need to go outside to any other country to get any other resources. Everything's here. And all the infrastructure exists. I mean, yeah, it's rusting, but we just turn it all back on. So if everything else
There'd be a lot of rebuilding back. The power grid I just read an article.
The power grid's pretty old. Oh, yeah, it is very old. Yeah.
Did you ever get shout out to the Backwoods Home magazine? Did you ever subscribe to that?
Oh, I didn't, but I heard you talking about it with Tannen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic magazine.
Okay.
Out of Eastern Oregon, I believe.
Okay.
They have Tannen likes it because there's almost no ads in it, or there's so not full page glossy ads.
Right.
It's an older style magazine, and it's just about self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
Everything from canning to gardening to solar power to off-grid to all this stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic. There was an article about raising yaks in northern Idaho being a better choice than cattle because the yaks they love the snow.
Ah.
So you got 8 months of winter near the Canadian border in northern Idaho.
Yeah.
And yaks do great there.
Oh.
They're kind of wild. You got to be careful around them. But
Yaks.
this family bought yaks, and they've been doing it for since their kid was little, and the kid's a teenager now.
Yaks.
So
that's awesome.
fantastic. So there's all sorts of ideas in this Backwoods Home magazine that, anyway, but a guy who had it, the point I was originally trying to make,
Yeah.
was that there was an article about the power grid, and he was concerned about how old and fragile it is. Things are reaching the end of a lot of the stuff is all the old transformers and power stations are like 50 years old. They're not putting in new stuff. The nuclear power stations, he said how many there were and how old they were, and they're not building any new ones. And they shut down like 500 something coal burning facilities. So our ability to produce electricity is diminishing, and it's not being replaced with anything currently.
Yeah.
So it would take, he said it takes like 2 years or something to get a new facility built and back online. So it would be a substantial outage.
There'd be some time.
It'd be a long period of time to where like you'd need to learn to do without electricity if something substantial happened.
Yeah.
And what with hackers and stuff, did you hear about the hospital being shut down because of a hacker here in town? In Thailand.
Really? No, I didn't hear that.
No, UT Health got hit by hackers a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And just took away all their systems.
Dang.
They couldn't work. I think they had to go back to paper stuff. They lost all their records. It was like held for ransom for a while.
Yeah.
And I think they finally paid it, and it's taking them. I don't know if they're back online fully yet, but they're having to comb through it to make sure there's no back doors and whatnot to make sure that they're safe to turn things on without it being stolen right back again.
Yeah.
Really, really destructive. So that sort of thing is, I think, a real threat. And it happened in multiple states. It was like...
Well, that happens all the time. Ransomware happens all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
but I'm
very
saying
popular.
It's very disruptive
Yes.
to the high tech. So that's the problem with... There's security problems here.
Right.
Not just... So whether the hackers from Russia or here, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
The problem is still that we don't have our health care
Right.
available. You lose all your records because where are they? They're online. And where's that? Well, we don't have access to it anymore because we got locked out of our own system.
Right.
We can't help you.
Yeah.
You can't get your cancer treatments. You can't get this. You can't get that.
Right. Yeah, and that'll
So
happen.
those sort of things, that's a battle that's going on and seems to be ramping up from the little bit that I've heard.
Yeah.
From people who are in the know.
Yeah, and I think it is ramping up. I think that's a fair...
It's a new battlefield.
Yeah, certainly. It's a new battlefield. Well, it's not a new battlefield, but it's certainly ramping up.
Well, new as in the state of the world. We're not... There's, pillagers with bows and arrows aren't coming in anymore and taking our wives and wrecking or burning our crops, but...
Yeah, it's one guy with the keyboard.
I bet it's not even one guy. I bet it's...
But that's the like in the
I
in
bet
the,
it's organized
in the security.
crime.
Yeah, in the network security world, it's
the mob of the internet.
Yeah, one guy with the keyboard is like that's the malicious actors in the network. That's the like phrase they use sometimes. Yeah, and that's my dad worked in network security for a long time.
Oh.
So like I grew up around this like idea of like there just being constant threat like that, and that will never go away. And it is. I think you're right. It is ramping up, and ransomware is a problem. But I think those things will stay. One of the things I think is important is because we're so connected now, information wise, you can get news about California in Texas instantaneously. And so you'll have like regional problems will start to give regular people like if a that was crazy. Did you just relight the match?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that was cool.
Not relight the match. I just lit a new match on.
Oh, okay. What am I trying to say? You just shouldn't extrapolate out regional struggles to national issues. So, like, just because there's a forest fire in El Paso does not mean that there's going to be a forest fire in...
Do they have forests in El Paso?
They had, like, a big brush fire in El Paso.
Oh, brush fire. Okay.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Well,
Obviously,
from the West Coast where we have real forest fires.
Yeah, there are no forests.
We're actually forests, entire forests.
Those
thousands or millions of acres of pine trees burning down. So there goes your lumber.
Yeah, there was wildfires in...
and all those rich people's homes.
All those rich people's homes, dude. It's such a tragedy. Anyways, but yes, yeah. You're right that there's what I'm advocating for is, or what I'm saying is going to happen is not that we're going to fall into some sort of utopian environment where nothing goes wrong, but what I'm saying,
Sure.
what I want to challenge is this idea that there's going to be epic collapse, that there's going to be a civil war in this country, that there's going to I think the powers that be that are nefarious and greedy and want this sort of transhuman sort of Alex Jones transcending human existence, downloading themselves into a computer, making everybody eat bugs, social credit scores. Those people are losing power right now everywhere. They're at each other's throats. They are, and they know that it's over. And I think that the question is not, are they going to lose, because they have lost. The question is, what are they going to do on their way out? How much damage are they going to cause as they sort of claw their way to? Oh, we're at an hour 15. Okay, we'll wrap it up. I'll say this and we'll wrap it up. The question is, what are they going to do on the way out? Are they going to? I think that it's reasonable to believe that they'll set off a nuke. I don't think that they'll like launch one, or they'll have countries nuclear superpowers exchanging bombs. I think they'll figure out some way to like Mossad or the CIA or something will give some terrorist organization a nuke, and they'll set it off in the UK or New York or something like that, and that may be the catalyst for the final sort of climactic into this fourth turning that we're in right now. But the stage is set for the stage is set not for destruction but for massive progress. And if we want, in our next episode, I can dig into the things, the stage that is set for us as far as progress goes, because things are looking up. If you don't look at the news, if you don't look at Twitter, if you don't watch Tucker Carlson, if you don't go on to CNN or whatever, if you look at where the money is going, the real indicators of what's about to happen, where's the money going, what is on the horizon technologically, what's the birth rate in certain countries, like where is culture heading? These things are the real indicators of the future, and if you look at those, I think the stage is set for an incredibly bright, immediate future. So
we'll call it for this week.
Back
next week for a little more digging into that.
A little more
to that
digging.
Bright future.
Yes, sir.
It's a bright, 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 sunshiny future.
Yes, it is. All right, guys, we love you. Go to church, have lots of kids, raise those kids right. Please prepare for a nice, bright, exponential future of growth and fantastic progress. We're going to be, probably colonizing Mars in the next 100 years. We're not going to be
making poo potatoes.
Yeah, we're not going to be eating bugs or living in pods. That is not the future.
I'm going to be eating bugs.
You're going to eat some bugs?
Yeah, I'm going to have my chickens eat the bugs, and I'll eat the chickens.
Okay. Well, that's
so
probably
like one degree removed from the bugs.
Yeah, one pretty good degree removed from the bugs.
Yeah, very satisfactory degree.
Very satisfactory degree. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.